Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ninja Warrior podcast. Today, we're going to be covering the Stage 5 Ninja Awards. You know, for once you aren't saying tonight, but it's 5:40 p.m. It totally would have worked. Oh. I totally wasn't even thinking about it that way. This is how it's done. This stupid stuff. Yes, stupid stuff. That's how it's done, people. Yep, it's been a couple months since we announced these. But, through a lot of hardship, honestly, this is honestly one of those stressful awards process we've ever had. Honestly, just, me having to, constantly promote the C5 Ninja Awards for almost nothing to happen. But, you know what? It's okay. We're here, 20 people voted. And honestly, I think it's pretty humorous. 20 people decide the fate of American Ninja Warrior 16. You are very much over dramatizing this. Okay, but it's cool, alright? You're literally just trying to make our unpopular asks seem cool. Like, the fact that we are unpopular, you're trying to make that seem cool. I mean, the gaming headband gets no views, so I've been doing that for years. To be fair, Mario 7 did get a lot of views for what it is. Yeah, every episode at least averaged like 50 or so views for Mario 7, so that was definitely a new record for us, at least for the first time in a very long time. So anyway, today for the final time, we are going to be covering the Stage 5 Ninja Awards. Same rules as always. We had our there are two different variants for each category. There's the us vote and the fan vote. The fan vote is a little bit divisive, mostly because there are only 20 people decided to vote, despite all my efforts to try to promote the thing. But you know what? We're not going to talk about it anymore than we already have. We're just going to focus on what happened, what's going on, all that kind of stuff. So, tonight, we'll be covering this for the final time, and I'd just like to set this up by telling you guys why this is the last time. First off, Stage 5 Ninja Awards. The idea is that Stage 5 is, beyond Stage 4. That's the idea. After you go to Stage 4, you can get awarded for, your performance on the show. That's the kind of thing I've always thought of when the name Stage 5 Ninja Awards came to mind. And, it doesn't really work for a show to where, racing is the main source. And as of right now, that's going to be the future of the show. We know Season 17 is going to be that. And as of recently, it was confirmed that Season 18 was going to be that too, by complete freak accident. Wait, really? Wait, you didn't hear about this? No? It was in the group chat. Wait, when was this? Yesterday! He literally texted us yesterday! Oh, I totally missed that. Dude! Yeah, I totally just checked my phone right now and I see the messages, and I'm like, yeah, I did communicate in the group chat today so we can set this up, but I totally missed this conversation about the whole casting thing. Oh, God. Okay, alright. But that's next week's episode. We do plan to talk about, the future of Ninja Warrior in 2025. That's going to be the episode after the next one. We'll be doing that and the Team Ninja stuff as kind of a combo episode, so that way we are knocking out two topics with one stone. One that I don't think is going to take a long time, and one that probably will take a decent amount of time. So, yeah, that's how it's going to work. Yeah. But, yeah, I totally missed out on those texts in the group chat. Yeah. To be completely fair, though, I'm, not the most social person in the world, so, you can't really blame me. I'm in college, I have a life. Is that really your excuse, Crystal? I mean, yeah, both of you are still in high school, and I'm in my second semester of college over here. I'm pretty sure there's a big difference there. Yeah, you totally could have left the show after you graduated high school, and I don't think anyone would have really cared. But at the same time, though, I still do enjoy doing this with you guys, so I'm not going to, not let that, not do the podcast just because I'm in college. No, you two are stuck with me. You have to work with my schedule. Yeah, plus, you edit most of the gaming headbands, so, I don't think my YouTube channels would be a function without you. I mean, to be fair, we haven't done much for the gaming headband in a while, but I will tell you this, we have been preparing a new Let's Play. Yeah, but the only reason why it hasn't come out yet is just because of a lot of technical difficulties with it, but it is on the way, don't worry. We have a whole bunch of stuff planned for that, so probably should be coming out within a month or so, hopefully. Give or take. Yeah, but anyway, we are here to talk about the Stage 5 Ninja Awards. So, you guys ready to get into it? I think we're ready. Let's go for it. This is the final, and I mean final, Stage 5 Ninja Awards for this Stage 5 Ninja Awards. It's for the foreseeable future.
In this time, are we loving or do we sit here wondering why this world isn't turning around? It's now or never. We have no use for the truth. And now's the time for us to lose who we are and how we've tried, taking every step in stride. It's now or never to decide. In this time, are we loving or do we sit here wondering why this world isn't turning around? It's now or never, and this way. Are we learning or do we sit here yearning for this world to stop turning around? It's now or never. Where's the truth for us to use? 'Cause all we seem to do is lose who we are and how we've tried. Are we all the same inside? Is now or never to decide. In this time, are we loving or do we sit here wondering why this world isn't turning around? It's now or never, and this way. Are we learning or do we sit here yearning for this world to stop turning around? It's in this time. Are we loving or do we sit here wondering why this world isn't turning around? It's now or never, and this way. Are we learning or do we sit here yearning for this world to stop turning around? It's now or never. In this time, are we loving or do we sit here wondering why this world isn't turning around? It's now or never. In this time, are we loving or do we sit here wondering why this world isn't turning around? It's now or never, and this way. Are we learning or do we sit here yearning for this world to stop turning around? It's now or never. This time, are we loving, wondering isn't turning around? It's now or never.
Alright, so let's just get into the very first category as we've done all the intro stuff and it's more than 5 minutes in. So, the first category was Breakout Rookie, and again, this was one of the differences. Usually have breakout male and female, but of course there weren't enough rookies for season 16 to really cover a separate bracket thing, so we just combined them into one. The winner of this category, we decided on Luke Beckstrand, mostly just because he made it the farthest at any rookie. And I think he was pretty impressive despite how little showtime he got by the show. Oh yeah, I mean, I think honestly, Luke was definitely the best choice. I mean, we all decided on it, but in terms of just like competitor wise, I think it makes the most sense. I mean, he's a young gun. He's got a lot of build us. Thanks to Ninja Warrior Jr. His brother Kai is a big star on the show. Kai also did really well this season. I think it's just kind of cool to give Luke Beckstrand an award, despite, the show not giving him anything worth a damn in terms of showtime. Yup, and the second place person, we went with Gavin Obi, mostly just because of how out of nowhere he came during the semifinals round. During the semifinals where he completely scored the competition and got into the onto the safety pathways with Jay Lachey. Even if his season really wasn't remarkable in the qualifiers or in stage 1 later on where he fell in the gambler, I think it definitely was still worth a mention. Yeah, it was like, he is legitimately the only person. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the rest of the people here, we have Ishel Valentino, Jonah Brown, and Noah Bushnell. Like, these people are so nobodies, and they really didn't gain any kind of starship because of the season either. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I will say that I do remember who Ishel was. You know, she was the robotics girl. They kept on giving her, you know, little segments, and they've always mentioned who she was and everything. So, yeah, I always knew who she was, but Ona, and Noah, I purely put on there just because of stats-wise, and it really did bring me back to season 12 times where I put rookies on the breakout male and breakout female just because of stats. And, you know, back in season 12, you know, we didn't have enough rookies either. So instead of being the sensible thing and just combine them into one, we instead just thought, hey, Taylor Johnson and Ashley McConaughey are rookies, without even looking at the fact that they competed the previous season. And then just popped in 3 notable veterans who were already in the best female competitor. So honestly, I think this is at least makes more sense for the kind of situation we got here. Yeah, I think honestly we just did a bad job like compromising for that kind of thing, you know? And with that, we get to go into the fan vote side of things for Breakout Rookie, where the winner was Luke Beckstrand by 8 with 80% of the vote. Jesus Christ, look at this thing. Yeah, I'll be showing you guys screenshots of the Google form, which shows pie charts. I think it's pretty neat, personally. It's something that we never got to do with the YouTube community post, so I think it is a benefit at the end of the day, even if it made it so the awards were less popular than any of the previous ones we had saw and done and passed. But regardless, Luke Beckstrand ended up winning. Gavin Obi and Jonah Brown got a tie vote, 10% each, with Noah Bushnell and Isha Valmiro getting nothing each. I'm honestly kind of surprised that the two of them didn't get anything. I thought, like, at least someone would have gotten something from either one of them. Yeah, I think that's definitely interesting. I think Obi definitely deserves a lot more recognition than we're really giving him, but, you know, he got second place. He's at least a nominee, you know. I think that's good enough in this case. Yeah, he's definitely a competitor I'd say you should look for in Season 17. He was pretty fast in the semis. I think he could definitely, give some competitors a run for their money, and he's also a young gun too, so honestly I could easily see him getting to like that top 10 or whatever, next season, I mean, yeah, it's not like, stage 3 upper body, it's just racing, so, and hopefully actually good racing too. So, in general speaking, yeah, he can definitely be someone who would be like a big star of that season. Yeah, let's move on to the next category. That's gonna be sophomore sensation. And this one was pretty tight because anyone in this category honestly could have won and it would have made sense. And I know, honestly, the picks of Noah Munio and NASA Galemore stats-wise does make a lot of sense. And I do think, like, Crystal was advocating for Noah when we were talking about this last week. But we decided to go with Taylor Green for first place, and Sydney Yee was able to lack up second place, mostly just because of the edit she got this season, and how surprising of a pick she was. Like, she really was a sophomore sensation this season, like, no doubt. Yeah, in retrospect, I do see it. Like, both Taylor and Sydney got a lot of showtime this season, versus Noah, who got literally nothing in his, the Stealthiest Ninja the category. Colton Scuster, who, while yes, also came out of nowhere and got a lot of showtime. I think it was pretty tight between him and NASA. Yeah, I think, like, it's kind of hard to talk about, a lot of the people who did well this season, because a lot of them just didn't get the showtime they needed, or just, like, their seasons, like, they got to stage 2, for example, they didn't really have, like, a special season before that, Like, getting to stage 2 doesn't feel as remarkable or special as it did back in, like, let's just say season 8. Oh, yeah, especially when you get to stage 3, like, the last couple of seasons, we've had a minimum of 15 people in stage 3, and, season 14, we had 11, like, all 3 of those numbers are pretty big and way too huge. Especially since all 3 of those seasons, too, we had 5, 8, and 5 finishers on stage 2. Like, what the fuck? Like, no wonder it became less and less impressive. Like, clearly the challenge has gone away in some way. And because of that, it's just not as impressive to see someone make it to stage 4. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be seen as we go into stuff like Breakout Male and Break It Up. Since I think it's definitely going to be seen when we go into stuff like, Best Male and Best Female at the end of the night here. Yeah, definitely, but Taylor Green and Sydney Yee were first and second place people. Yeah, honestly, I think that's it. Yeah, to note too, like in terms of like third, fourth, and fifth place, we had done this in previous seasons, but it's kind of pointless. I think first place and 1-0 are the most interesting picks, right? Yeah, the Armchair Ninja podcast, when they did this, they never did anything beyond the winner. They never did like a 1-0 thing, and I think it should be highlighted who the 1-0 boy was in this case. So yeah, and in this case too, the fan vote also decides, who was like third and fourth and whatnot. So that's alright. Yeah, so on the fan vote side of things for Sophomore Sensation, this one was really split. It was really close. Really close. You can see the pie chart. It's really tight. But NASA Galemore just barely beat Noah Munia, but by just 5% of the vote. I think this is by far the closest category. It might be different. We haven't looked at these in a while. I haven't looked at these since I closed the polling, and I don't really remember, so actually seeing the results is going to be a first-time viewing for me personally, because I wasn't really, keeping an eye on them past a certain point because of the whole I didn't want to feel bad for myself kind of thing. I mean, I'm not going to say you did a bad job. I mean, you released so many videos that were aiming to promote the thing. It's not like you didn't try. Yeah, it's just that people didn't want to click the link in the description. I mean, also to be completely fair too, there was a point to where the Google form wasn't working because I had given people the wrong link. I will admit that probably is the reason why we didn't get as many as usual, but that really didn't really change much. It still, only cost us maybe 5 votes, if that. Yeah, definitely. I think that fact really doesn't matter. Yeah, getting back to it, Taylor Green and Colton Scuster got 15% of the vote each, and then Sydney Yee got it's got 5% of the vote with 5% of the vote. Honestly, again, really close. I think this category was really a real heavy hitter. I kind of wish we've had it in the past, but I think it's kind of perfect for this season just because of how many veterans who came back for the second season just did well here. I feel like for other seasons it'd be kind of tough to fill out this category. Oh yeah, for season 8, it'd be the obvious, Daniel Gill would be the obvious pick there, but more recent seasons, who do you go for? Season 13, who was a sophomore sensation? Amir Malik? He went out on stage 1. I think honestly, it's kind of hard to fill out a category like this in any other circumstance. But in this case, the seasons were filmed together, so the only reason why this was their sophomore sensation is just because this was their second season competing. And I guess it would be that for any reason, but you know what I mean, right? Yeah, definitely, for sure. With that, we get the next category, that being Best Comeback Season. This one was also really tight. The three of us were really going back and forth on it because top 3 in this category were really tight. And yes, I did say top 3. This is the first category where we had a tie. That's where we had a tie for second place. The ultimate winner, we decided narrowly to be James McGrath, mostly just because it was pretty impressive to see him come back. He got a really good edit this season too. He had a really remarkable one in the qualifiers and on stage 1, but also a huge comeback on stage 2. Honestly, I think it honestly would have been criminal to not let James McGrath walk away with the win on this one. Yeah, and the tie for 1-up was between Sean Bryan and Joe Mulaski, 2 people who have had very lackluster seasons as of recently. Sean Bryan, who's had 2 back-to-back shocking fails. It was in Joe Mulaski, who's had 2 back-to-back shocking fails on stage 2, and then not being able to go to Vegas in season 14 due to getting COVID. I think it's pretty big for both of them that they both made it back to stage 3 for the first time in a while for both of them. Yeah, honestly, it just means a lot that these 2 had such a good season. So I'm glad that we were able to award that with 1-up positions. Yeah, I think I'd like to address Kai Beckstrand just because of how far he made it, but he doesn't even get 1-0 up in this case. I just feel like he is such a boring pick for this. Like, yeah, it makes sense. And honestly, in retrospect, comeback is a comeback at the end of the day. And he failed on stage 1 during season 15, and then he comes back in this season to not only win a safety pass as being one of only 2 people to clear the mega wall and being one of 5 people to get the stage 4. Like, statistically speaking, that is impressive, but actually, like, show-wise, it's another situation where it's not impressive kind of thing. Yeah, like, I feel like Kai is one of those people that I just can't seem to care for anymore. Like, I get it to a certain... I mean, I get it, but, like, I feel like a lot of people in the Ninja world right now are standing on their stats and literally nothing else. And, like, Kai has a lineage of ninja competitors as well, with the Beckstrand family and everything. But, like, what does that really mean? We have his parents who, don't do that well and only really get to the semis just because of the rules being so lenient. And then we have Kai and Luke, who, yes, are trailblazers at the end of the day. It's really only out of this season that's really come about because it's the first season they've competed together and both of them did super well. Yeah, definitely for sure. So, yeah, Kai is kind of tight on this one. I think you could definitely give it to him if you want, but, we've got 3 veterans who were really in due for a comeback anyway, so I feel like there was no way Kai was going to win this. Yeah, and then Max Feinberg is just Max Feinberg, so I don't know why the fuck you thought he was going to win. I didn't. I just popped him in there because I made the most sense out of who was left at that point. But honestly, I didn't think he was going to win. In fact, honestly, he didn't even come up in our conversation at all, really. It was pretty obvious it wasn't going to be him. He's like the Jonathan Godbout of this season, It gets popped into categories even though he can't win. Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah, with that. So, on the fan vote side of things, it was another tight split. It ended up being a full-on tie, 35% to 35%. And James McGrath and Kai Beckstrand tied for the winner, with Joe Molaski collecting 25% of the vote, Sean Bryan collecting 5% of the vote, and Max Feinberg getting no votes. I think this one was the most interesting category when it comes down to it, just because, tie winner, we've never had that before. Yeah, and I think that's honestly something I can speak on too. Like, it's because the people who voted was so little, it meant that, like, we could see ties, and I think it's really cool because the last previous seasons, the categories, some people just didn't vote in certain categories, and ties were probably not likely. In the fan vote side of things, most categories were landslides. And slides. Over the last 2 years we've done it. Here, we've had 2 back-to-back very close categories, and here we are, we got a tie for the winner. Like, I think that's really cool. Yep, so there you go. The next X category, the best obstacle sequence, of course, the replacement for best new obstacle, as we mentioned in the nominees video. There weren't really enough new obstacles this season to really fill out that category, so I made a compromise with just rating the individual courses and the course design itself. I think Stage 3 was most definitely going to be the undecided champ on this one. On Stage 3, even if it ain't the best Stage 3 course in the world, visually it is fun. I do think this version of Stage 3 is really fun to watch. I think every obstacle here is pretty good. I just think, honestly, the only really thing I'd like to change about it is just, the amount of west bars and just making it more of a upper body drainer so that way less people would clear it. And then just taking out slam dunk as an obstacle. I think that's really my only real complaint here when it comes down to Stage 3 this season. Ignoring the fact that it's almost the same course from last season. But to be completely fair, though, Pizza Party definitely made a difference. Made a difference when it came down to it, too. Yeah. I think it was pretty tight for second place. Like, we were really picking from, like, the cookie crumbs here. We had 3 qualifier courses in Stage 1 in terms of the remaining options. It was really tight. The 3 of us were like, look, Stage 1, it's really, like, a shadow of its former self, and it really isn't a good course at the end of the day, so we decided to try to decide between the 3 qualifiers that were picked here. And we decided to go with the qualifiers that were seen in rounds 3 and 5. which honestly was only really because we had a lot of pretty cool obstacles. We had pole vault, wing chaser, spinning bridge, heavy metal, the cubes. Like, I think honestly all four of those middle obstacles before the warp wall, I think all of those are really fun obstacles to watch and I think it made a pretty cool course design overall. Also, even if like the qualifiers were pretty cheap this season, I think it does work out in that way too. Yeah, it kind of depends on how you compare it because, Stage 1 is obviously going to be the course that has the more stakes to it. And I think it's pretty clear that with this season, they really tried to make Vegas as great as possible because they knew they had to cheap out on the qualifiers and semis. And, it definitely shows. I think this season, definitely, the qualifiers and semis look the most cheaply made out of any season we've had in recent years. But the 4 stages in Vegas have looked just as grand as ever, or at least like in general from Monday and W, in terms of like since season 13, it looks about as good as any of those seasons. Seasons at least aesthetically speaking. So I think honestly it makes sense. Makes sense. But I think honestly, it came down to obstacle selection at that point. That's what this category was all about. So I think it makes sense what we ended up going for. For the fan vote side of things, Stage 1 ended up winning with 40% of the vote. Stage 3 and the qualifiers is from rounds 1 and 7 tied to 20%. With 20%, and then we had the bottom 2 qualifiers, the qualifier ones from 4 and 6, and 3 and 5, getting 10% each. Yeah, honestly, I don't think there's really much to say here. Yeah, no, I mean, I do like how this category was close too, but, like, there really isn't much to go on about with it. Yeah, next up we got the most shocking fail of the year. I think this one was going to be pretty obvious. RJ Roman is our winner. This was definitely very surprising. But overall, RJ did not really have a good year. If you think about bundling 2023 and 2024 as the same year because NWP and 16 filmed together and whatnot, and ending that with the World Cup, RJ really did not have a good year. Well, he had to use a safety pass in season 15. Though he made it to stage 4 because he had that, but he lost to Vance. And then season 16, he falls on stage 1, unfortunately. And in the World Cup, he falls twice and almost ruins Team USA's chances on stage 4. Honestly, RJ is definitely someone who's due for a comeback season next year. I think he's definitely the person I would say is the most due for a comeback. Oh, yeah, I think, honestly, his performance in Season 15 was pretty disappointing. And then Season 16, to come back and then have a shocking fail, not to mention the stuff that happened in the World Cup, I think this makes perfect sense. Yeah, second place was really tight. It came down to the wire. Just to note, we had some really heavy hitters left for this round. We had Enzo Wilson, Nate Hansen, Matt Bradley, and Caden Lebsek, all people who had pretty surprising fails in my opinion. The three of us ultimately went with Matt Bradley's fail on stage 1, mostly just because of the way the show edited it. It was a huge surprise just to see him fall on the fucking dipping birds. The way the show has been not showing him, I was pretty sure that he was going to get the stage 2. And, win a spot on stage 3. So the fact that he just suddenly fell on the tipping birds, an obstacle you'd think he'd be perfectly suited for because, he is a speed and agility guy at the end of the day. It just really was a surprise. And honestly, because of the fact that Matt Bradley isn't competing next season and we aren't doing this again, I think it's pretty cool to give someone who's a little less of a, known competitor a mention in this case. Oh, yeah, for sure. Matt Bradley's the kind of competitor that I wish did get more showtime this season because of, just how impressive he was in the qualifiers and semis. So, I think it's cool that, he at least gets 1-0 up in this case. Yeah, I think the other three could have easily have gone 1-0 up, though. RJ was obviously going to be the undecided champ when it came down to the actual winner, but when it came down to 1-0 up, I think you can honestly pick any of them and it really works out. Yeah, I mean, I would argue that, all of them have, the same kind of shock value. Maybe Nate Hansen a little bit more just because he fell in the qualifiers and not in Vegas, but honestly, this really depends on how you look at it. and we went with Matt Bradley just because it felt like more of a shock. Just because we were expecting much bigger things from him this season. Yeah. Moving on to the fan vote side of things, it was a unanimous 70% in RJ Roman's favor. But then, and we had 15% for Caden Lebstek's fail on stage 2, so he ended up getting the runner-up position. Then we had 10% for Enzo Wilson's fail on the Gambler, and more 5% of the vote for Nick Hansen's fail, and no vote for Matt Bradley. I think, honestly, now seeing this is another reason why we just went with Matt Bradley, because no one really saw his fail as shocking, which I beg to differ heavily. Oh, yeah. I think it's cool to see, like, the fans having wildly different opinions than us, though. Oh, yeah, I mean, technically speaking, RJ won both cases, and this is the first landslide category we've had in half a minute, too, but, I would definitely say that the other competitors did make a fight to try to beat RJ in this one, too. Yeah, for sure, Caden getting 15% of the vote, that is kind of surprising, I think, but, I feel like you would have expected Caden to give it more of a one for its money. Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, like, the second time around, a stage 2 fail doesn't really hit as hard. But I also feel like, too, the reason why we put Caden on here was because it was the second time failing on stage 2 in a row. Like, back-to-back shocking fails. For someone like Caden, that was not expected. It was totally expected of him to get to stage 4 again. And, it just, like, season 15, it was kind of more like, well, it was going to happen eventually. Season 16, it was like, damn, really, again? Like, there's two different emotions here, at least in my opinion. Next up, we got Ninja Killer of the Year, and to be real with you, this might seem like a boring category because it's so normal. I mean, this is a good, I think it's actually, like, this category is the one that's, like, been the most, like, stereotypical over the course of the years, like, Ninja Killer really isn't something the show brings up nowadays, but we still do it because it's cool to acknowledge the obstacles that causes the hugest bloodbath, right? Oh yeah, this year, we got the Gambler, people. Yeah, it's, I think it was interesting. I mean, last year we did Slingshot, and the Gambler was also on the list too, but this time around, it gets the, win. I think the big kicker here is just the fact that it's such a big and daunting obstacle, and honestly, no other obstacle really came close in terms of it being, that daunting and having that much of a knockout weight. Yeah, for the one-up position, we tied Spin Hopper and the Jumping Spider. Two obstacles that had a very similar knockout weight and definitely were, like, still up there, but they weren't really that special. I guess it's kind of tough. Like, I think it's kind of tough to assess a category that really isn't much to say about. Oh, no, it's just like, the weakest link in all these categories, there's just not much to say, they cause a bloodbath. What do you want from us? Yeah, on the fan vote side of things, this was another landslide, though it was kind of close. We had the Gambler at 55% of the vote, Spin Hopper at 20%, the Jumping Spider at 15%, and Jawbreakers at 10%, and Duck Duck Goose at 3%. Honestly, I am very happy about that. Good night, people. We're like halfway through. Yeah, I know. It just makes me so happy. After that, we got the Stealthiest Ninja Award. This one, it's always the interesting one. It kind of sucks that the show is always like this. I think it was pretty obvious, though, that Noah Munier was going to get this one. Yeah, I mean, you get to stage 4, and your only ones you are shown are stages 3 and 4. Even Caden Lebstek didn't get that. Even Caden Lebstek didn't get that little screen time in AEW 15. In AEW 13, like, what the fuck? Yeah, by far, Noah got the biggest screwing ever, really. I mean, he really did get the shaft. Second place, we went with Luke Beckstrand. Just another season that really should have been shown more. But honestly, I think this season we had a lot of good contenders. I mean, yeah, definitely. Everyone here made it to at least stage 2, and the only one that was shown was stage 2. Like, yeah, basically speaking. Yeah, I think the only exception to that is Joe Meisner, who had his semifinals one shown and not his one on stage 2, which is interesting. But, yeah, I think this one was really tight. Definitely for sure. And on the fan vote side of things, we got Noah Munier also winning with 55% of the vote, with everyone else basically just grabbing the table scraps. Yep, Luke Beckstrand at 20%, And Cam Bongano and Joe Mizo tying at 10%, and Cowboys getting 5%. Honestly, not really that interesting. I think it's actually pretty typical, but I like how everyone, got at least one vote here. Everyone, the fans had the same opinion that Noah was the winner, but also a lot of fans had different opinions. It gets cool. Yeah. We get to move on to the categories we always save for last: Best Female of the Year and Best Male of the Year. For Best Female, I think it was obviously going to be Taylor Green, people. I mean, come on. Yeah. She had an even better season than last year. Last year, getting further on stage one and, coming into Vegas with a pretty clean record, too. Like, it was obviously going to be Taylor Green. Very impressive season, as we said earlier in Sophomore Sensation. The runner-up position, I think, was the more tight one. We had Addie Herman, Abby Clark, Sydney Yee, and Maddie Howard to choose from. The way we kind of determined it is just like who was the most notable, and Maddie Howard had probably the most out-of-nowhere season this year. Like, I think out of everyone who did well this season, Maddie Howard is by far the person that surprised me the most. Yeah, like, she's never really someone I, looked out for. Like, she was good, I do think her first showing in NW11 was quite impressive. But honestly, she's never really someone you really thought about past that her rookie year. But then here, she makes it all the way to the back half of stage one. Like, that is impressive. Like, I don't know what else to say. That's just impressive. Yeah, definitely. Then we got Best Male, and guys, we've done it. The last ninja standing, Vance Walker, did not win this category, at least on the us side of things. Yep, through our determining and us not wanting Vance to win, we went with Joe Mawaski as a total, maybe cop-out, but my main reasoning for this one is just because Joe Mawaski, in addition to having an amazing comeback season, he got ever so close to clearing stage 3, by far the most heartbreaking moment of the season, maybe the most heartbreaking in AEW's history. Like, it's pretty close up there. And honestly, it's gotta be one of the most remarkable moments of the season. I think we have to honor it in some way, and having Mawaski be the best male competitor of the year, that I think that has to speak for something. And it finally also breaks the tradition of, the last ninja standing making the most sense to be the winner of Best Male. Yeah, if you might, on that team. In terms of the one-over position, we got Vance Walker and Ayla Bergstrom tied for second. I think this makes ultimate sense. I mean, these two had the exact same season, and, both won a Condenseiha, true Condenseiha, for the most part. It makes sense. Yeah, I think, Joe Mawaski's moment, his moment on stage 3 is definitely the more memorable from the season in general. And he definitely had the most memorable season out of the 5 we chose. So it just made the most sense. Vance and Caleb, we kind of had to tie, but in all honesty, in my opinion, Caleb Bookstrom could probably go just barely above Vance in this case, just because it was a huge surprise to see him win, him get caught in Seiha. And honestly, I think despite how ham-fisted his edit was, I think honestly the show did a good job of publicizing him and showcasing, why, him winning would not have been a bad outcome at all. Yeah, I'll give you that one, I actually kind of do agree. Vance Walker, if you think about it, Vance's entire stick this season was the fact that he was going to come back and get back-to-back total victories. Double total victory, as we said in the finale of Season 16, that is special to a certain degree. But, I'd argue that Caleb coming out of nowhere was a little bit more special. I do agree, but I feel like, we kind of had to tie these two because, they had the exact same season. Yeah, NASA and Noah, it's just kind of outshined due to circumstance, but I don't really want to undermine the fact that they had really good seasons too. Same with Kai Beckstrand, he's not really mentioned here. And, my brain was when I was nominating everyone, I was like, I have to put Kai here, but then I realized I want Joe Mawaski here. I don't really think Kai really deserves it that much. And even NASA Gamble was kind of stretching it, if I'm being real with you, but I think I'm pretty happy with what we went with. Oh, yeah, to finally break the tradition of the last ninja standing being the best male competitor, I think that's... and to justifiably break it, not just to break it just because we want to, I think that's a good one. I think that's a big one. Yeah, moving on to the fan vote side of things for Best Female and Best Male. For Best Female, this was a 75% win for Taylor Green, with Addie Holman getting in second place at 20%, Maddie Howard getting third place at 5%. Then we got in the Best Male category. Obviously, in this round, Vance Walker had the win. I think this was a no-brainer. There was no way the fans weren't going to pick for Vance. 70%. Second place was Joe Molaski on that one, 15%. Then we had Caleb Bookstrom at 10%. And one person went for Noah Munio, but no one went for NASA. Honestly, again, it's with those two, I think they were definitely just overshadowed by the other three. And I think it really depends on how you look at it, I feel like a lot of the newer fans, maybe care more for Vance. But I feel like, with the edit Molaski got this season and overall, Molaski just being one of the biggest ninjas of his time and in general and all in AEW right now. I think he deserves this win, Just throw him a bone, Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's this year's Stage 5 Ninja Awards. Wow, we're never doing this ever again. It's all over. Yeah, I don't think it's really the most upsetting thing in the world. I feel like, honestly, considering how, previous seasons have gone, especially season 15, this was gonna be inevitable. We kind of told ourselves that, it would make sense to end it here because, no more Vegas. It's a completely different show we're gonna be talking about here. The podcast is going to have a little bit of a restructure. We're not going to be covering AEW in the same way, for this upcoming season and for the foreseeable future, as we're going to be tackling other things and ninja related. This had to be the biggest finale ever, and well, yes, it may not have gone as popular as previous seasons. Who really cares, We did it, I think, honestly, we've had, this was a fun podcast to record. Yeah, I mean, I think, honestly, with Stage 5 Ninja, it's kind of tough to, bounce off each other and have a competent conversation, but, it's just discussion, I think, honestly, the biggest reason why these episodes end up being so long is because we're trying to, have it be more opinion-based versus, just us saying the words. Because, again, if you remember back to season 12, the 7 Ninja Awards, that episode was one of the shortest ones ever at that point. Yeah, definitely. But, anyway, that's it for this episode of the Enjoy Podcast. Thanks for watching, everyone. Next time is going to be our reactions to Season 0. Wow. That's going to be one quite of a video to put out. Yep, that's gonna be, it's gonna be a highlight reel, right? From what I've heard. Yeah, so, after the long podcast of, Sasuke 42, and then this and whatnot, that episode will probably be, maybe 40 minutes, give or take. 40 minutes, give or take. Maybe a little bit longer, but we'll try to keep it to that minimum. Keep it to that maximum. Where the three of us are going to be reacting to the very first two episodes of the podcast that were put on YouTube, in a similar vein to what we did with the original podcast pilot that we recorded back in 2019, but not as, crazy. We're mostly going to be showing highlights of our reactions, not the entire thing. And, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that episode of the podcast, as we recorded it, it is honestly one of my personal favorites. It was just because of our banter and us just talking about our history and whatnot. And, yeah, I think I'm excited to put that one out for you guys as a little later down the line. Yep. And then after that, hopefully we can fit in an episode about Team Ninja and some preliminary stuff for AEW 17. Yeah, so on that topic too. So here's the plan. This episode's gonna come out in very early April, and then that episode will probably come out in the end of April. At that point, we've got May, and then we got AEW 17 airing. Now, you guys know that we're not covering AEW 17 the way we usually cover it. We're gonna be doing it in a recap style. Because of that, we're probably going to be covering in 3 episodes, so you guys will see some different topics as AEW is airing. You might see the College Madness episode during that time frame. And by the way, yes, we do plan to cover College Madness of Team Ninja, because that's still a season of the show, regardless of how you look at it, even if it is a lot more tame. Yeah, definitely for sure. We recently watched the first episode of College Madness together, and god damn that show. God damn, it's so awkward to watch nowadays. Yeah, but we're gonna keep on going through it. Obviously, we're gonna cover the first season of the show in 2 episodes. The way we're gonna do it is we're gonna have Team Ninja Warrior, and then alongside that, in the same episode, we'll have some preliminary stuff for NWP 17 talking about what Ninja has in store for this year. I know we kind of already did that last year when it was first announced, but now we're going to offer a little bit of a new perspective, but it probably will only be a short talk, which is why we're bundling it with the Team Ninja episode. And yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah. So next time is the season 0 reaction, and the episode after that is going to be Team Ninja stuff. Yeah, I guess all there is to say is see you guys next time. Yep. We appreciate you guys sticking with us throughout this entire journey for NWP16. We apologize for the long way on this one. This stage on Ninja Wars took even longer to come out than the previous versions. I really did extend the wait time a lot more, but it happens, and I think we slam dunked it as well because of different circumstances. Oh yeah, like definitely for sure. Sometimes you just can't do any better than just trying to wing it, and I think honestly, us winging it here is probably the best thing we would have done for it. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. For the Season 0 reaction. That's going to be a fun episode. I hope you guys are excited for it. Peace.